always likes to have an opinion on the best way to get clients, and some people like to swear up and down that it's cold email, that it's paid ads, it's referrals, content, networking, but not all client acquisition strategies are actually created equal. And so today, I want to actually rank every major way to get clients, all the way from D tier up to S tier, based on one sole thing, and that's how likely is it to consistently get you new high-paying clients. So with that said, let's jump straight into it. All right, so copy and paste DMs are listed at D tier first because you can't customize them, so everyone's going to get the same message. Literally generic and personal, they cannot be ever the same thing. A generic message can never be personalized, and a personalized message can never be generic. And so not being able to customize them is just going to limit the actual output and outcome that you could get from that if you just spent some more time customizing that message. All right, so second thing is it's easier to get banned with spam DMs versus customized ones. So if you're sending the same message 50, 100, 200 times per day, the same message back to back to back, that is going to flag all of the algorithms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever you're posting on LinkedIn, and it's going to say, hey, this account is sending the same message multiple hundreds of times per day, and they're probably obviously with that you're not going to get the best output because we already touched on number one, but because of that, they're not going to either restrict or even worse, ban your account, all because you were sending the same message, copy and paste. All right, number three, it's capped per day. So if you're really trying to get to 500K, a mil a month, 2 mil a month, you're not going to be able to do that off of copy and paste DMs. It's capped. You can only send a certain number of messages per day through every single source of social media that you have. And so Instagram really depends, but the more you send, the more risky it becomes. And there's just no real actual strategy you can use to get that to a mil a month, 2 mil a month, things like that. So that's why I list copy and paste DMs at D tier. All right, for C tier, I put long form YouTube videos, and some people may be surprised by this, but I'm going to explain why I have it listed at C tier and not any higher up. All right, so here's the 3 reasons why I put long form YouTube videos at C tier. So first, it takes a long time to actually grow a following and a personal brand with YouTube. So I'm not saying at all that YouTube isn't a nice channel to actually use, but the thing here is, can you consistently get new high-paying clients? And with this, the answer is right off the bat, no. It's going to take a lot of time, and even still with this, it's become fully reliant on you consistently posting new and fresh content every single week to stay top of mind, to stay top of funnel, so that people are actually seeing you compared to one of your competitors or someone else, right? And so that's why it's not really reliant to get consistently new high-paying clients. Because if you want to, again, get to that mil a month, let's say that that's the goal, fully reliant on YouTube is not going to be the strategy, which then comes into number 3, where you have a capped TAM. So this is your total addressable market, right? So once you run out of leads, it's going to be hard to find new ones unless you have another channel bringing them in, right? YouTube obviously only has a certain number of people. Yes, it's millions of people, but there are other strategies that have hundreds of millions of people that you can use to generate even more money that we'll touch on later. But like I said, long form YouTube videos, it's only going to work once you hit your TAM. You're going to have another source that's bringing in those leads to then convert those leads into actual clients. All right, so cold calling, I listed this at B tier for a couple reasons. So first, it's easy to book in a ton of calls if you have enough leads. So if you don't have enough new leads coming in every single month, it's going to be very hard to actually get leads onto the calendar because you just don't have anybody to actually reach out to, right? So as far as really scaling to that mil a month, if you're solely reliant on cold calling, you're going to need hundreds of thousands of leads, right? But if you're just starting off, you're just going to need a couple thousand new leads every single month coming into your pipeline to ensure that you're able to book in qualified calls with warm leads who are actually ready to buy your product right now. If you have $50,000 or if you had 50,000 leads that are 2 years old, it's going to be very difficult to actually convert those because who knows where they are right now in their journey compared to where they were 2 years ago, right? So you always want to make sure that you have new leads coming into your pipeline. Second is that these leads, they do go dead very quickly. So if you don't have a good system to hit them as soon as possible, as soon as they get into your pipeline, you're going to waste money on the leads that you just spent. So you need to make sure that you're hitting them up literally as soon as possible, 1 minute, no later than 5 minutes. If it's 10 minutes, that's a problem. As soon as they get into your pipeline, you need to be hitting them up to convert them as quickly as possible and get them to a client. That's the goal here. Consistent, high-paying clients. That's going to be the system that you need to follow. And the third reason I put this at number 3 is that it can be very sustainable if you have another source bringing in those warm leads. So like I said, for number 1, it's only good if you have enough leads. And number 3, it's only good if you have good leads coming in. If you have a bunch of shit leads coming in from India or third world country, whatever it is, and they don't have the money to buy your product, or they're not a fit for your product, or they're not even the ICP for your product, they're not the right audience, whatever it is, you're just going to be wasting money, wasting time, wasting energy on something that's not making you money, right? So it's very sustainable if you have a good source bringing in warm leads. That can be paid, organic, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Just ensure that that's consistent traffic that you have coming into your pipeline to be able to reach out to those people to convert them consistently into your product. So that's B tier. And next I'm putting A tier as Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn organic content. I put social media content at A tier for a couple reasons. So first, if you already have a good following, and by good following, I mean a couple things, but if you already have a good following, it's going to be very easy to convert them into followers now, or into buyers. Now, what do I mean by a good following? I don't just mean millions of followers, okay? Because I've seen accounts with hundreds of thousands, millions of followers, and they are not able to convert anybody because those leads are either not qualified, they don't have the money, they're a bad fit, they're just not looking to buy. There's just so many reasons why that person looks like a good qualified lead, but they're not an actual client that's going to want to buy the product. And so that's why it's very important to know what the difference of those two is. But if you have a good following, even 30,000 followers, and those are actually good followers, they like what you offer, they're looking to buy now, they're the right fit, they're qualified, they can afford it, all of those things line up, then you don't need hundreds of thousands of followers to get to your first 100K, 200K month solely off of organic. And that's why I think it's good, because leading into number 2, once you find a winning formula for your content, it's very easy to go viral. And again, the winning formula isn't the winning formula of, okay, how can I get X amount of followers, as many followers as possible? It's how can I get as many qualified followers to, again, consistently get new high-paying clients. That's what we're trying to get here. And once you find a reel, a story post, whatever it is that works for you, you're able to just bust those out as many times as you want and continuously get more and more and more of those new high-paying leads that are actually going to convert into clients. So that's why I think it's very good. It's very simple. All you have to do is figure out the strategy that works for you. But it can turn into a sea of dead leads very, very, very quickly if it's not done correctly. And so this is the biggest thing. If you're just focused on, okay, how can I get as many followers as possible? How can I get as many likes as possible? How can I get as many views, whatever it is as possible? And you're not focused on an actual good follower, we'll just call it a good follower for lack of better words, you're going to just have millions of people who are never going to buy your product. And then it's just going to turn into a big shit show, because it's going to be very hard to then convert those people, or to then switch the brand and to switch the algorithm into finding the actual people that are your fit for the product. If you get to 1 million followers, and or even 100,000, like whatever it is, 100,000 million followers, whatever it is, if you get to such a high number of 99% of your people are all DQ'd, that's what you're telling the algorithm that that's what you like. Those are the followers you want. So those are the followers it's going to continue to bring. So it's very important that you do this correctly so that you don't get bad followers. But like I said, overall, if you have a good system, if you find that winning formula for your content, it can become a very, very lucrative channel for your business to, again, get you consistent, new, high-paying clients. All you have to do is post a little reel multiple times a day. You can literally post them on trial reels, and then you don't even have to post as much, and you're consistently getting new leads, new followers, new clients on a day-to-day basis. All right, so that's A tier, and now for the final tier, S tier, I'm going to put the webinar ad funnel at S tier. Okay, so why is the webinar ad funnel put at S tier? Well, first, it is the easiest funnel to scale once you find a winning strategy, and is essentially unlimited money. So once you find out the ad strategy, once you find out the webinar strategy, the post-Webby strategy, the sales strategy, once you figure out all of those and you figure out exactly what fits, all you have to do is just put more money into the ads, and you're going to get that same output, just more of it. So that's why it's the best, because it's the easiest to scale. If you're looking to get 1 million a month as quickly as possible, a webinar funnel is going to be the only way to get there. None of these funnels are going to get you to $1 million a month as quickly as a webinar funnel will, right? The second is it really does not require that much of your time. We're talking about 10 hours of your time per month to run 2 to 3 webbies a month. That's more than you need to generate $1 million a month, even $2 million a month. Again, because it's all dependent on ads, you don't have to put in more time to get more out. You're doing the same thing every single time, and all you're doing is just spending more money. So very, very lucrative. And third, you're also very able to quickly shift gears when needed to stay with the market, whereas all these other strategies have come and gone throughout the years. If you've been in the online space, then you know there was a time where cold calling worked way better than organic, right? And there was a time where organic was probably working better than copy and paste DMs. All four of these have been put at different ranks throughout the years of the online space. The webinar funnel has consistently been top tier. I've seen people who've been running webinars for 4 or 5 years, and it's because it's very easy to shift with the market as the market's changing, to stay with it, to ensure that it's consistently generating the revenue that it needs, and again, consistently getting you the outcome to get you those new high paying clients. If your webinar is ever starting to die out, I promise you it's not your webinar. It's either your messaging, it's how you're framing it, it's something that you're doing that can just be adjusted to then make that fix and then get you that outcome that you're looking for. So that's why I put webinars as tier, because it literally is the best funnel. You can run it whether you have 500 followers or 5 million followers. Again, all it is you put the money out, you're going to get it back in. Obviously, to start, you're not going to make $1 million a month overnight, but it's very, very easy to scale. Once you get that money coming in, once you see it working, you just throw as much as you can into it. Boom, $1 million a month. Whereas all of these, it's more so up in the air. You can get there 100%. It's just not as definite as the webinar ad funnel. Now, like I said, webinar ad funnels, those are the best strategy, the best acquisition strategy that you can run, whether it was a year ago, whether it's right now, whether it's a year later, and it can be a lot to set up at times. So if that is something that you're looking to get started with, or you're kind of wondering how it all works, whatever it is, how the whole process looks like, this is actually something that I do. I partner with people who are looking to run webinars, and I set up the entire thing from them start to finish. So if that's something you're interested in, you can book in a call with me below. We can chop it up. I'll explain basically how it would all work, how I'd build it out for you, what it would look like, and if it makes sense, obviously we can go from there.